What are the top three issues that people you're hearing at the door?
The issues with AI and data centers. I'm hearing a lot of concerns about personal privacy. It goes hand in hand with locally, a lot of citizens are really upset that we have flock cameras positioned throughout our town. And they all three connect because we do know that some flock camera systems are integrated with some type of AI. And then we also know that in order to have and to use these AI platforms and these applications, it does require data centers. So it all fits within. And I haven't spoken to a single person who is for data centers. Every single person I have spoke to, that's one of the first topics that they want to ask me about and how I feel about data centers. And I have to be honest with you. My knee-jerk reaction is I'm anti-data centers myself because one, working in public health and as a Native American woman, water is a resource. And it is one of the most important resources that we have. And for Kansas, we don't just have an X amount that will last forever. And there are parts of Kansas that are already dealing with not enough rain. And these companies that own these data centers can say all day long, we'll never pull from an aquifer. We'll never pull from blah, 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 blah. But then tell me, what will you do when that county that you're in is in a drought and there's not a lot of water to go around? What happens then? And the concern is that our leaders haven't thought that far into the future about what the ramifications will be when our resources that are already limited are put under more strain. On the
Yeah.
flip side of things, I'm pro-union. And I don't know if you recently heard or saw that article that came out. I can't remember where it came out of, but there was some talk that at a recent campaign event that was funded by a lot of unions, they were telling a lot of candidates, if you are anti-data centers, you need to get out.
Oh,
And,
really?
and the reason they feel so strongly about data centers is because they see it as a way to give work, obviously, to people who are in unions. And I can understand that, but my pushback would be, are these data centers truly bringing hundreds of jobs to truly make a difference in a community? And are these long-term jobs or are they
Mhm.
short-term jobs? And I think we have to also take into consideration that we absolutely have to be smart with our economy. We have to focus on opportunity, but we also need to be shifting away from short-sighted priorities. We have to think longer and we have to think in terms of how this will affect our children and our grandchildren and the rest of the generations that come after us.
I know there are better ways to do data centers. Of
Yes,
course, they
yes.
cost more and they take longer. And so far, the ones I'm seeing proposed being built here are not those. And I think at the moment there's so many people that don't know, and that it's nothing that we need. And like you said, it does not create long-term jobs or any sort of stability. And honestly, if they wanted to come in, if I as a private landowner wanted to sell my land to a data center and they could build it and they didn't ask for tax rebates or property tax abatements or any special from us, then the government would have to just stay out of it, honestly, unless they wanted quickly rezone and ban them or something. But if the space is zoned for commercial or whatever, they just need to get a building permit. And that's what
Absolutely.
The Shawnee County people had a meeting and they
Hmm.
started, they're discussing changing some regulations so that AI data centers specifically have to go through more steps to be built than just a building permit. And
I think
so,
that's fair. I think
but the people are upset because they want Shawnee County people to just say no data centers. And I said they can't really do that because, like, if a
Mhm.
private person and a private business want to sell land and build something that is not, that meets code, that's zoned for that thing, there's nothing the government can do. Now, the government can say, we're not going to give you tax credits or incentivize you to come here, but they can't stop at the AI
Right,
data center from coming there necessarily. They
right.
can, but it's a lot. Then then it's just a slippery slope of the government being too involved with the private affairs of people. businesses and stuff, and then they don't like
Absolutely.
that. And
And nobody likes that. Nobody wants to feel like they're living in a country where they've got big government over their shoulder. And you're right, there are different ways that we can power these data centers. And so my stance is until we have companies that are willing to build without these tax incentives, because those tax incentives should be saved for projects that will help workers long term, but also the community long term. I think that was the purpose of a lot of these tax incentives, and somewhere along the way we got around that. But also, we need to push back and expect these companies to find solutions to where they're not such a drain on our natural resources. And until those things can happen, I'm going to be against a lot of the data centers that want to come to the area that I live in and to my county. And I'm fortunate that our county commission in Saline County put a 3-year moratorium on data centers. But my second message to people is just because we have that moratorium does not mean that it's a done deal. After those 3 years, I'm sure our county commissioners are going to be studying this topic in depth. I hope so. But I'm curious to see what will happen after those 3 years. And I'm really paying attention to it.
I
And
think by three
yeah.
years, we're going to see whatever the bubble is burst. And then it's going to
Hmm.
settle out because that's what's happening right
Sure.
now. So, what my fear is that not only are they going to build these giant things, what they're going to do is get them built. And then, as soon as everything blows up, they're going to have these giant empty AI data centers to
Yeah.
what?
It'll just become another cost for the taxpayer. We've seen it. We're seeing it here locally. There's one building in, I don't know if you're familiar with Crawford. There used to be a hotel and it's since been torn down. But because the owner did not clean up they tear it down, but they didn't bring everything out, they didn't clear it off. Now that's up to the taxpayer here in Salina to foot the bill, even though that owner has had years and years to get things done. And we're seeing that in multiple places across the United States.
That's what
Mhm.
I'm afraid there's going to be just these big empty AI data centers in the water.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think there's just not enough known to be putting them up. Nobody wants them. They're not a necessity that we need by any means.
Mhm.
I think we have plenty in the United States to handle the data we have for now. And I think the whole market and the whole thing needs to just slow down. It's too fast for people in Kansas. Kansas does not move quickly on. We're
And
not
that is
early
correct.
adopters of technology. We're
I
always
mean,
a
I
decade
would,
behind.
we're really not early adopters of really anything.
We
And
used to be. What got started?
back to when John Brown ran things, right?
Kansas is always a decade behind any trend of any
Mhm.
kind. We all know the benefits just not there.
Yeah,
Give them
absolutely.
tax breaks.
We have one of the few prairies that exist on this continent. Kansas does. That's something we need to protect. Agriculture obviously is huge in Kansas. I would like to see more studies done on the effects of data centers on livestock. And we're seeing some information, but not enough.
We just
Um,
haven't been around long enough in the forms that they're building them now. Like I said, it's all moving so fast.
yes,
And that's what's scaring people is like,
that is scary.
because generally when things like that move too fast, it's a problem.
Yes, yes, I agree. I
So
agree.